Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast. We hope you're doing well. It's been a while since we did our last podcast. We're back now though, so for this episode,
So this episode we're having a chat with So Let Us Talk. They are a peer-led support group for trauma survivors, and they aim to be a safe and encouraging space for survivors to come together to share experiences and draw strength from one another. So would it be okay if you could introduce yourself? Let us get to know you.
Okay, so my name is Suli, and we started So Let Us Talk together with Laika. So Let Us Talk is a peer-led support group, and we cater to sexual assault survivors and domestic violence survivors. And what we meant by peer-led is I myself, I'm a survivor.
What about you, Laika? What do you do?
I was working at Aware as a senior case manager before resigning to pursue my master's in clinical psychology. So I'm in my second semester now, thankfully. And I also left to take care of a little baby who is 6 months old.
Now we've understood a little bit more about the both of you and understood about what So Let's Talk is really about.
Could you tell us about your story in coming together? Like, how did it come about? Why did you decide to do this together, like just the both of you?
We actually started when I was, I joined as a participant in a support group at Aware. Mm-hmm. And at that point of time, I was facilitating. And I found it incredibly helpful in my own personal journey. So from there on, we decided to take it forward to do it annually.
So when I had left Aware, we decided let's see. Suli's a great person to work with, right? And she's got an arts background, so it's a good balance, or it's a good mix of sort of my psychology background and her arts background.
Yeah.
And we know from the first run that we did together that we do work well together. So we decided, okay, we really believe in women coming together to support each other. So let's take this forward and see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, your socials also mentioned that you guys do an art intervention, right? Which is essentially the core of So Let Us Talk. Can you maybe speak about what exactly is an arts intervention?
Okay. So I'll use a different word would be creative art techniques. Okay. And there's a lot of research already that shows that using creative arts like drawing, like painting, like singing, like dancing, these techniques, they help in trauma recovery, because a lot of times after trauma, survivors feel like they've lost the ability to explain what happened to them, because the experience is so overwhelming and just so unfathomable that language doesn't really make sense anymore. So using things like art, like drawing, it gives people a way to express what they're going through, what's happened, without necessarily needing to put words to it. Yeah, and it's the process of what you discover and how you make meaning through your drawing, right? And you're right, people do, participants are anxious to show their artwork, right? And we do give them the space to not share, but they are encouraged by each other. So if one person starts to share, and they're like, hey, or they say I'm really, really embarrassed, I'm going to show this for a brief second.
Right.
Could you maybe walk us through the typical steps and processes that an interested survivor can expect? So how can they join the support group, and what actually happens during support group sessions?
Well, typically we do. We're hoping to do this annually. So this is our first year to do this independently. what happens is that when we open a run, we would post on our socials Google form in which participants can fill up. There are typically 8 sessions for each run. So participants would have to commit for minimally 4 runs, and there are other criteria. So for each session, we would have a theme.
Okay.
We'll start with like checking in, and then there'll be like 2 main activities revolving around the theme. And for these activities, a prompt would be given, and participants would participate with the drawing, painting, or whatever arts intervention that we decide. And it follows with a sharing session. And we would usually close with a lighter activity.
Okay, right. Yeah. So like, since y'all are doing it annually and your sessions have already started, if there are new people who want to join, they gotta wait for next year?
This is a perennial debate we have. We usually, if there are people that want to join, we do. Myself and Suli have no issues with that, but we also put it to the group members and say if there's a person that wants to join. So far they have been really supportive. Like, I don't think nobody's like, no, make that person wait. So we do so if people are still interested, they can email and we state even in the eligibility that we are inclusive. And I do intake calls with each of the sign-ups before they can join the group. So I will ask questions. I sort of ask about their triggers. I ask about any experiences they have. A lot of times when you have general conversation, you can pick up on particular views that people have as well. Yeah. So we are very clear from the start that we are inclusive. There are 2 of us, so we moderate as well. Like, we make sure that the conversation within the group is respectful. We have ground rules at the start of every session. At the start of the group, but they are reminded of it every session. We might sound like broken records sometimes, but we really like.
No, it's important.
We really encourage. We do say that you sharing has to be respectful. This is not like a preaching or advice session. You don't get to weigh in on other people's beliefs. That's not what this is about. So we do our best to make sure that it is an inclusive and safe space. It really helps that there are 2 of us that week, and I guess we haven't had that experience happen, but if something would happen where a participant is uncomfortable, we will take it seriously. We have check-ins after. Myself and Suli, we check in with every participant after the session, so the next day we send each participant a check-in message, and we also ask for any feedback they might have. So that if you do an individual check-in, they hopefully feel safe enough to share if anything upset them or.